couple of days to let it all soak in and to get ready and to refocus and reset for this, for the 200. She looked good in the qualifiers. Now it's finals time again. Addo, what's your take?
Well, she's certainly in a lane that she will always treasure, and that's lane 9. But what she needs here is very similar to the script that she needed for the 100. Have a better start and turn than she did in the semifinals, and then she's got to set a personal best just to contend with this field, because behind her, she has the fastest woman this year in Gabby Thomas, and 2 behind her, she has Julian Alfred, who is also dangerous. She's the NCAA champion, and she has a faster personal best. And that's before we talk about the fastest woman alive at 200, Shericka Jackson, who will be behind them all in lane 6.
Hey, Son, how about this as we look at Gabby Thomas of the United States? The U.S. women have not won a world championship at 200 meters since the great Allyson Felix in 2009.
That blows my mind to think of that stat.
It surprised me too.
That blows my mind. And Otto, you have kind of convinced me that Gabby Thomas could be a co-favorite in this event. She has the perfect lane draw out in lane 8. She can chase Sha'Carri, the weakest part of her race. She's going to be able to chase the world champion and then get on the straightaway quicker than anybody else and go to her strength, the final 100 meters. So could tonight be the night that the Team USA is restored as champion? We'll see.
I just feel like Gabby Thomas has not been challenged so far in a big race. She blew away U.S. Nationals, but this woman on your screen is the favorite for a reason. 21-4, disappointed in the 100. She has everything to run for here. And only Gabby Thomas has run faster this year at 200 meters.
And make no mistake about it.
And she's in 6.
Yeah.
She can see everybody in front of her.
29-year-old Jamaican wants a little bit of revenge on that woman right there, Sha'Carri Richardson, because Shericka Jackson thought for a second she had won the World 100-meter title. It didn't happen. She was shocked by Richardson. Here's Gabby Thomas. As Sonia told us, she's got fresh legs. No 100 for her.
Here's the NCAA champion, Alfred. Does she have one more big race in her?
Daryl Nieder of Great Britain.
After making the Olympic 100 final, now she's made a world final.
This is Dina Asher-Smith, her teammate, who reigned supreme in 2019, but has had injury issues since. She was only 8th in the 100, so what can she do here? And also rounding out the field there, that's Mary-José Talu. I mean, a picture of consistency, guys. She's been one of the best female sprinters in the world for over a decade. Unfortunately, was in that 4th spot again in the 100 meters, and a tough lane draw for her there in lane 2.
One thing is for sure, I feel like the medals are going to come from the outside lanes.
We keep saying it. We haven't had a bad final yet in the field event or on the track, and this is guaranteed to be another.
Women's 200 final away. Shericka Jackson, Sha'Carri Richardson on the outside. As already been passed, here comes the world champion Jackson. Shericka Jackson into the home straight. She has put her stamp on this event. She's going to go back-to-back for Jamaica. The first is Melanie Nunny, and she crosses in 21:41. Wow, that is a late record.
She is now just 0.07 of a second away as Gabby Thomas gets the silver and Sha'Carri hands on for her 2nd medal at these Worlds.
That wasn't even close, Otto, and I could tell the way that she ran the 100, she was in the middle of the track, all of her chief competition in front of her, she executed to perfection. We just witnessed the 2nd fastest time ever run, and it was at a World Championship final. Oh my goodness, just phenomenal running for these women.
Look at Gabby Thomas. Her mouth is wide open. She can't believe it. It's Jamaica, the United States, and 0.4 of a second in sprinting is a mile.
That is as big
of a margin
of victory as you will see in a sprint event in history at these World Championships. We'll crunch the numbers, but wow, for a race that we thought, well, maybe somebody gets close, no contest, Jackson by a mile.
And that's the last time you convinced me to change my favorite. Shericka Jackson looked amazing, but Otto, you also called it. Sha'Carri Richardson would need to run a personal best, and she did, and she got a bronze medal. So she's leaving here with a gold and a bronze. This is a phenomenal first world championship for the young superstar.
So here's another look. Shericka Jackson, fourth from the left, was playing no games tonight. I think she would have been frustrated by her inability to win the 100. And man, she came off of that turn, and it was goodbye rest of the world. Gabby Thomas tried to charge late, but that's a lot of space in between the Jamaican world champion from last year and the rest of the world. So she repeats and defends her title from Eugene. And the other women who run the 200 in the world, know now, if you are not ready to run 21.4, you have no chance to beat an in-shape Shericka Jackson.
And think about this, Otto. Shericka Jackson started out her career as a 400-meter runner. No one saw this coming. No one saw that she would step down.
21.41 seconds. The second fastest 200 meters ever run at a world championship final. And the margin of victory was not close. Not a lean, not a photo finish. A full 1/10 of a second in a sprint event. That is not a gap. That is a statement. You watched the race. You saw Jackson pull away. What you probably did not see is exactly when and how it was decided, because it was not at the finish line. The decisive moment came before the back straight even began. This breakdown will show you the 3 mechanical advantages Jackson built into her curve that made the result inevitable before the field had a chance to respond. The field coming in was genuinely elite. Gabby Thomas, running in lane 8, held the fastest time in the world that season, 21.63 seconds. Julian Alfred, the NCAA champion, had a personal best faster than Jackson's pre-final career mark. Sha'Carri Richardson, who had already beaten Jackson in the 100 meters at these same championships, was hunting a sprint double. On paper, Jackson was the defending world champion with a point to prove. She had finished outside the medals in the 100, and she carried that into lane 6 with something to settle. Lane 6 in the 200 is not a disadvantage. It places the athlete where every rival on the curve is visible ahead, which for a technically sound curve runner is exactly where you want to be. Jackson had run from lane 9 in her world championship victory the previous year. Lane 6 gave her more visual reference, not less. Here is what most people assume about Shericka Jackson, that she is a straightaway runner, someone who fires in the final 60 meters. The data does not support that. Working through her split structure across multiple races, one detail kept standing out. Jackson's curve to straight transition is where her margin is actually built. She does not chase the race down. She arrives at the 200-meter transition point already ahead, and then she holds. On the curve, Jackson's cadence sits around 4.85 steps per second, with a stride length averaging 2.18 meters through the bend. Those numbers reflect controlled aggression. She is not overstriding, which would pitch her torso away from the curve's center and bleed lateral force. Her lean angle through the apex of the bend holds close to 8 degrees inward, letting her convert horizontal velocity into forward momentum with minimal energy loss at the hip. This is not something she discovered recently. It is the technical product of her years as a 400-meter specialist, where reading and executing a curve efficiently is the difference between qualifying and winning. What's most surprising about this race is not that Jackson won. It's that Gabby Thomas, widely considered the strongest finisher in the field, could not close on someone who had been building her lead since the 60-meter mark. Thomas's strategy was correct in theory. Lane 8 on the curve means she exits onto the straight earlier than anyone in the inner lanes, giving her a longer final straight to deploy her finishing speed. Thomas's final 100 split in peak form sits around 10.8 seconds, among the fastest in the world for the second half of a 200. The problem is that this strategy only works if the gap at the transition point is closable. By the time Thomas hit the straight, Jackson had already posted a first 100 split of approximately 10.9 seconds through the curve. A time that, combined with her mechanical efficiency, meant Thomas needed to run a negative split of historic proportions just to pull level. So why didn't the faster top speed runner win? That is the question the race actually poses. And the answer is about energy accounting. The 200 is not a sprint that starts at top speed. It begins in acceleration, peaks somewhere between 70 and 100 meters, and then demands that the athlete manage velocity loss across the second half. Jackson's curve efficiency means she reaches the straight having spent less mechanical energy than a runner who fought the bend. She arrives at the back straight with more in reserve, which is the opposite of how most viewers read the event. Richardson, in lane 7, ran a personal best of 21.60 seconds for the bronze. That performance would have won most 200 finals in the previous decade. Here, it was third. Put yourself in Richardson's position. You've just set a career best, and you're watching someone else celebrate 7/100ths of a second ahead of you. That margin is not small. At full race speed, 7/100ths of a second corresponds to roughly 84 centimeters, nearly a full meter of daylight between two elite sprinters, both running the fastest races of their careers. Here's the take that will probably generate some disagreement. Jackson's dominance at this championships has exposed a structural problem in how the 200 is coached at the elite level. The event is still widely treated as a straightaway race with a curved start, rather than a technical discipline where the curve is the primary differentiator. Thomas is the best straightaway 200 runner in the world right now. She was second by 1/10 of a second. That gap is curve technique, not fitness, not speed, not heart. What does this mean for how you watch a 200 going forward? Stop looking at the finish and start watching the 60 to 100 meter window on the curve. That is where the race is decided. Watch for the athlete whose torso stays upright and whose foot strikes land slightly inside the line of travel. That is controlled inward lean, converting curve geometry into speed. Watch for the athlete who maintains consistent stride length rather than chopping steps to negotiate the bend. Jackson checks both criteria through her entire curve. When you see that combination, you are watching someone who will not be caught. Jackson came into this final having lost the 100 at these same championships. She came into lane 6 with the weight of a defense to mount and a score to settle. What she delivered was not a reactive performance. It was a structured, technically executed 21.41, the second fastest time in championship history. Built on curve mechanics she developed over a decade as a quarter miler, deployed at exactly the moment it mattered. That is the story of this race, not the margin, the method. What do you think? At this level, is the 200 still a speed event? Or has it become a technical race decided before the straight even begins? Drop your read in the comments. If you want to understand how Richardson's acceleration phase actually works, why her first 30 meters look different from everyone else's, and why that matters for the second half of any sprint, that breakdown is next. Subscribe so you don't miss it, and hit like if this changed how you'll watch the 200 going forward.